Why?
Season 2 is the best.
Season 2
is the best. Season 2 is elite. Jonathan Bailey's Jonathan Bailey is just...
Hi, we're the Candid Book Club. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Tanya. This is Mimi, Jess, Oma, and Linda. And today we're going to be talking about romance novels. It's the month of Feb, Valentines, Galentines. So we're just going to talk about some of our favourite romance books that we've read. I'll start with Linda. Because Linda loves reading romance.
Okay. This myth of me not reading romance is not because I don't like reading romance, it's because I don't like reading rubbish romance.
I think you just don't like reading romance.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We've read novels that have aspects of like romantic.
Yeah, but those aren't romance books.
There's so many. Have you recommended me anything that's actually legit other than Love Hypothesis or what's that? Spanish Love
We have
Deception?
so many reviews on the page.
All right, well we're going to talk
and you
about
don't,
them.
and you don't read any of them.
Okay, well anyway, the ones that I have read, I think they count as romance.
Good.
People Change.
Yeah, that's a good one.
By
that's a
Sara
good one.
Jafari, and the
Sort of.
the Mismatch as well.
Yeah, that was a
Is that
good
more
one.
of a romance?
I think both of them are romance.
Have you
I
read the
don't know.
Mismatch?
I haven't read the Mismatch.
Oh, Mismatch
yet.
was
So
great.
Mismatch was her first one.
Yeah.
And is that about, remind me, is that when she gets with the guy? So the author is British Iranian and her characters are usually British Iranian, well,
Yeah.
what we've read so far. And the Mismatch is about, she gets with this guy who's he's from a completely different background, and it's just like how to navigate that relationship
yeah.
because her family background is really, really difficult, and the dad is like chronically depressed, has his own issues, and that sort of weighs a massive ton on her and her family, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
And things happen, but I love the book.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying that
I would say
one.
that was a romance.
Yeah, that definitely, I'll give you that one. That was romance.
And then People Change was what? People Change was...
People Change is kind of a romance. There's big elements of romance in it, but I feel like it's a bit more like, not coming of age, but she's kind of developing as a person in her career, what she's sort of putting up with, her family sort of issues as well. And the only reason I kind of do classify it as a romance is because Kian, the guy in there, it's sort of like a second chance sort of romance.
Yeah.
But he sounds really hot. So.
I think it's a really big... I think that their relationship is the big driver in the story.
Right.
And so I would probably class it as a romance.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
not a traditional one in the sense that everyone's reading on TikTok these days, but it's a little bit more kind of grown up.
So
And it's like,
exactly.
you don't really know what happens at the end between them.
Yeah.
Sara Jafari, she does it really, really well. So
Yeah, I do think it is a romance now that you talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's my contribution.
Well done, Linda. One book.
I go to Mimi now.
No, but Mimi, you've read quite a few.
I've read quite a few romance, but there's also things that I describe as romantic
Yes.
that are not necessarily driven by romance at the heart of it. Like, you're telling me the situationship wasn't a romance. I liked it, even though it's about a situationship.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good one.
If you were a single gal during Valentines and Galentines, I would not recommend the situationship.
Is that what
Only if
the
you're
brief
unhappy
is?
single. If you're happy single.
Even if I was unhappy single, but I wouldn't want to...
Tanya,
Yeah, because
has
the guy
brief
was such.
of this video changed? Why do you have to be unhappy on Valentine's Day?
No. I didn't say unhappy. Did I say
say-
unhappy?
She said that
You're
if you're a
happy.
single girl on Valentine's Day, I
What
wouldn't
do you
recommend
want to
this.
read?
I would want to read like something with like a happy ending. I don't want to read...
Okay, your turn will come.
Sorry, we carry on.
Wow, there's some real dictatorship going on today. So I like the situationship. I thought that one was quite good because I think I like messy stuff.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I don't pick up some of the really classic romance literature like Pride and Prejudice, like Jane Eyre, I will read over and over again. I love those stories. I love the like long drawn out romance and the don't like each other and then they like each other.
I'm reading Pride and Prejudice right now.
Oh, it's
and
so
I
good.
love it.
Isn't it so good?
I love.
First time read.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And I think I like the complex, messy ones. And I like the fact that in those old ones, obviously there's so much that doesn't happen because of like the time that it's set in.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that kind of real holding back. But I also like things where it's a bit like non-conventional.
Yeah.
So like All the Light We Cannot See. I know that that's not a romance book, but it's so romantic to me.
At all.
Yeah, but it's so romantic to me because there's like this instinct of survival. There is like a connection between two people that's part of the driving of the book. I loved it. I know
I don't
it's
even
not
know what
romance.
it's about.
It's a Second World War novel. But
In that case, I've got about 55.
listen, you've had your turn, as we
Yeah,
said.
all right.
What were the other ones that I did? I also really liked I think This Is Romantic was How We Met by Huma Qureshi. Her
Yeah.
memoir, which was
Yeah.
about her and her husband meeting and kind of the process of going through kind of introducing her family to him. I really liked that because I thought it was really
That was
sweet.
sweet. That was very true.
But yeah, I've not read many like classic romance literature, maybe apart from Ali Hazelwood and Emily Henry.
Does Normal People count?
I think Normal People does count. But again, that's the kind of stuff I like. It's messy. It's not straightforward.
Yeah.
There's not like like they have an argument and then they make up and then they're all
And
happy
if they get
happily
together,
after.
they get together, and if they don't, they
They
don't.
don't.
Yeah,
like
fine.
I think I like that slightly more centered in real life type romance. I think it's more engaging because it is more true to life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just finished actually Jaqueline Wilson's book, Think Again, and that's got a lovely like romantic undertone to it because she's basically Ellie's trying to figure out like who she is and what she wants as an adult in her as a woman in her 40s, and she has this relationship. I don't know if I want to ruin it, but maybe I will. With like her old art teacher as an adult, she meets up with him as an adult, and they embark on this relationship. But there's so many amber flags, like red flags throughout, and you're just like, this is not actually. This is the idea of this is way better than the reality. So you had a crush on him at school, but this is not translating to a nice grown-up relationship.
What about One Day? It's One Day romance.
One Day is romance. I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it is.
That's an old banger.
Have you read it?
Yeah, back in the day.
I think I have read it and then I tried to read it again and I couldn't get into it.
I
I don't think I'd
I've
bother
not
reading
even
it
seen
now.
it.
Now that the show's out.
Don't bother.
I really liked the show.
I liked it. I really liked her, Ambika.
Yeah, Maud, I love.
Yeah.
Do you know
I
why I
think
think
she's
it
really cool.
is that before you get a chance, TikTok ruins everything.
Yeah.
So because I feel like I've seen it, but in clips.
But Tanya, now that it's been out for like a year and a half, maybe you can watch
Yeah,
it.
maybe.
Yeah.
Because you probably have forgotten
Yeah.
it.
okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll try.
Yeah.
I think that in terms of like romancy kind of books, I'm with Mimi. I like a little bit of mess. The books that I kind of read aren't necessarily straightforward, like fall in love, have a thing, come apart and come back together again. I read one book like that very recently, so much so that my cousins text me like, I can't believe you've read this book.
What
and
was
it
it?
was Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. So Abby Jimenez obviously is popping off quite a lot on the socials as like a really nice sort of romance. I don't know what possessed me to pick up this book. I think I just wanted
My
something
review.
easy.
I
wanted something
review.
happy, and I fell in love with this book. I thought it was just a really fun, easy, light sort of, two people meet, little bit of peril, come back together at the end. It was just really
I really
easy, and
enjoyed
the
that one.
lead characters were just very.
And was
sweet.
it well written?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
And it wasn't as like cheesy or overwhelming as some of the kind of Ali Hazelwood, Emily Henry kind of vibe. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I think there's a real place for those books. They're popular for a reason.
It's true.
Like they're so story driven, and they're just like people like the smart.
Yeah.
No shade in liking the smart. Go to town on it. But I think they are like when you find a really well written one.
Yeah.
I think it does make for quite
Yeah,
special reading.
it's true. I really enjoyed that.
Tanya, if you had to pick one romance book that you would tell someone to pick up, because you're the expert on this, what would you tell someone to pick up?
The most recent book I've read is probably the Abby Jimenez book. That Just for the Summer, wasn't
Just
it? Yeah,
for the
that
Summer.
one I think has been my favorite. I think I put that as my favorite read of last year. As
Yeah,
well.
you did, yeah.
That one amazing. I love
Moonlight in Manhattan.
That is a great book.
Oh.
Moonlight in Manhattan.
We lent that to somebody and then they've just never given it back. So I need to-
Yeah,
You need
it's
to not do
it's
that.
one of your friends, or do what Linda does, where she makes a note of who she's
She's got her library.
Yeah, but that book I can reread
Yeah.
all the time. Like when I'm feeling like I can't get into a book, I'll reread that one and then I'll start reading something else. But Moonlight in Manhattan,
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Can't think of any other. Who else have we read?
I read, or reread actually, Dating Dr.
I knew
Dill.
it.
I knew it.
Do you know what?
I've reviewed it now, so no one can say anything.
But
to
you know
me.
what? I just want to say thank you to YouTube, because YouTube gave us the platform to pressure Oma into writing the review for this book that she read a decade ago and refused to review. So thank you, YouTube, and thank you
But when I
any
was
viewers for making us do
rereading
that.
it just reminded me how much I liked it and
That's
why
so
I
good.
liked it.
Good.
So I was like valid in my love for this book. And there's a second and a third part which I still haven't read yet. I've been like saving them for when I'm in a reading block and I'm just not in the mood to read. I know that those will get me out.
Can
of it
I borrow
straight away.
Dating Dr. Dill?
Yes, you can.
I want to read it.
Yeah,
I'm
I think it's
interested
really
to
good.
see what you think, because
I think I'm gonna like it. She really loves it.
Yeah, but I read it
Tanya
before
hated
she
it.
did, but I read it online, and I was just like, what is this?
It's got some smut in there. But,
but
I don't think it's like the driver of it.
But I don't
Some
think
people
that puts you
found-
off either.
No, it's fine.
Some people found parts of the smut cringe, and I get why. Because, for example, he calls his manhood Charlie,
Oh,
which is weird.
Tell me
But
this after I've read it.
I just skim over those bits, so it didn't really bother me. But for other people, they were like, "Oh, that's just weird. That's just weird." But I feel like people do that. Men do name their. It's a thing. Like if you think about if you.
yeah, but I'm not sure
watched-
about Charlie.
Yeah, okay,
Each
weird.
to their
but
own.
like, how to
you
lose a
just
guy
put
in
it
10
more.
days. In there, it's like
King Crawl.
Kroll, the warrior king. So
that's
I
how
think
she
it's
names it.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it is a thing to name your piece. So it's not like bizarre in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Even why are you giving it like a human name?
Yeah.
I know, but it's not
Charlie.
giving it like a dog
I don't
name.
know.
Okay, we digress.
Anyway,
Let's not get into a
Anyway.
discussion about what men should call their
that
bits.
that one was really good because it's. I feel like it had like nice South Asian representation. It's about like a Punjabi girl and just the small references to like even food and drink and her sister, her younger sister's getting married. So like the process of the different wedding events and the outfits and stuff like that. Like it just sounded so wholesome and I really enjoyed it. And like even the relationship, like her mum's passed away, so her grandma lives with her and her dad and her sister. So having that like grandma type relationship where they're like bit old school and the, you know, all of that type of stuff. So I think that's the reason why I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
But I'm a lover of romance. I love
Me
romance.
too.
Maybe as much as Tanya.
I think so. I think we
Yeah.
read the same amount.
Yeah.
The other recent one I read is Better Than the Movies by
Yeah.
Lynn Painter. What was the first one called?
I think that's the first one. And then there's
Oh, the second one is Nothing Like the Movies.
Yeah, which I
that's the
haven't
one
read.
I read recently, and it is a sequel. I don't think it was needed, but it was sweet. Like I
Okay.
mean, people who enjoyed the first one would really enjoy the second one. But
Yeah.
for me, I was like, I think it should have just ended the way it did. Yeah.
And then I've read her third one called Betting on You, which I loved even more than
is
Better Than the
it still
Movies.
the same characters?
No, completely different characters. They kind of interlinked, and I think Abby Jimenez does that in her books as
Yeah,
well.
she does
Like
that.
characters link over, and I feel like Elizabeth Strout also does that. Like, I think it's quite nice when you read one book and it's not a sequel, but you do recognize characters from the first one, and it's quite nice.
When they've created like a
Set in the
world.
same
Yeah,
world.
exactly.
Yeah.
Would you classify Emily Henry as romance?
I think
I think so, but I
Yeah.
haven't.
What was
I've only
that?
read one book
Happy
of hers.
Place.
Happy Place.
Hated
So
that.
she is, because she's done a few like
Book
book
lovers,
lovers,
and
something
that was
on
one.
vacation,
Yeah.
and they're very much like enemies to lovers
Yeah.
type
Yeah,
of trope.
yeah.
And they weren't bad. I think Happy Place has been my least favorite of the books that I've read, but Mimi got me. Is it called Funny Story
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Secret
yeah.
Santa? I can't wait. I'm waiting for the right moment.
Also, Tanya, do you remember we read Beth O'Leary?
I love Beth O'Leary.
Flash-
She's
I've actually
really
never read
Flash
books.
Shares a Romance.
Yeah,
I've read
Flash
that. And Road
The
Trip.
Switch-
And
Road
The
Trip.
Switch.
Also,
Look all
I'm
this.
going to go even more old school,
Go
and
on.
I can't remember who wrote it, but I read P.S. I Love You back in the
Yeah,
day.
Cecilia Ahearn.
Thank you.
That is a great
Oh,
book.
do you
That
know
made
one
me
of my
cry.
favourite books that she wrote was one called The Gift? I
Okay.
don't think it's not really a romance. It's about a guy who has a car accident and like his basically his spirit like comes back to life a little bit. It's like a Christmas like
Right.
the meaning
Miracle.
of the meaning of life type
Okay.
you know thing. And it's actually really, really good. I love
But
that's
yeah,
not
P.S.
my
I Love
romance,
You
but-
was
that one is a
great.
really
I
great
read that and that made me cry.
But the
I
film
loved
was
that
not a
book.
good
Which
adaptation.
one's
No,
P.S.
was
I
it-
Love You again?
It's the one that they
Her
adapted.
husband dies,
And
and
he
he
leaves
writes
her
her, he leaves her
letters.
letters.
But the film wasn't as good.
What about the one that had, what's the girl from Game of Thrones?
Oh, Me Before You. Are you talking about
That
Nia
was a
Clark?
romance
Is that
as well.
romance?
Yeah.
But that's
I'm
Jojo
not-
Moyes, right?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
read those.
I've
Me
read
neither.
Me
I've already
Before
watched
You,
it.
and then I read the second part to it.
Me
Me
After
After
You.
You.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well done to the teams
enjoyed
naming
it.
it
I really
sequels.
enjoyed it. They were really sweet books. I enjoyed the movie as well, actually.
Yeah.
But do you know what else I actually really, really love? The Bridgerton series.
Ah,
We
My
read those.
favourite.
Can I ask
Yeah.
a question though? Are the books as smutty as the TV show?
Worse.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, you heard it here first.
They're good. I mean, not
What? Tanya, what you do in your spare time is
No, I mean
completely
the
up
books
to
are
you.
really good. My
Of
favorite.
course, that's what she meant. That's what she meant.
Season 3, what lacked for me, I think, Penelope and Colin. The book, they had so much chemistry. Like, I just
It's hard when you're like, it's hard to do the friends thing to lovers in a TV show where you have to do it in half the amount of the series. Because all the other series, they were able to do the getting together right at the end, but because of the whole whistle down thing, it had to be sped up.
I felt like the
but I feel
first
like
two
that
seasons.
was the whole.
Yeah, like there's the same in the
Season
book.
3 was just focused on Whistledown more than
Their relationship.
And also like the mean girl, I didn't care about
Cressida.
her. Cressida, I didn't care about her. I
Yeah.
wanted to see.
I want
Colin-
Poland!
Yeah.
Give me more Poland!
I've only seen
yeah.
one Bridgerton Netflix.
Why?
Season 2 is the best.
One.
season
Season 2 is the best.
Season 2 is
the
elite.
best.
Jonathan Bailey forever.
Jonathan Bailey is just...
Also,
Oh,
actually,
love
my favourite also is the one about the Queen. What's the bloody name?
Queen Charlotte.
Queen
I
Charlotte.
haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen
I
that.
couldn't get through that
For
one.
me, it's season 2, Queen Charlotte,
Yeah, but
season 1, and
There's
then
no
season
Jonathan Bailey.
No, no, but
Jonathan
that
Bailey
guy
makes
is
eyes.
so hot in there.
He's
Which what?
so
Wait, Queen Charlotte?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which one? The King?
Yeah.
Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
He
It's
was
not
good,
Jonathan- It's not
but
Jonathan Bailey.
Who is it?
no Jonathan Bailey. No one tops Jonathan Bailey.
Can I just say, have you seen that Scarlett Johansson, this is such a digression, but have you seen that Scarlett Johansson is doing loads of interviews at the moment because they're filming together, and she's like, he does that thing where he makes you think that he's in love with only you, and then you meet other people that have met him and they all think that
About
so
who?
it's about Jonathan
Jonathan
Bailey.
Bailey.
So she's like, he has these eyes that just make you think I'm so special, and actually everyone thinks that.
He's not that fit, man.
Oh no, he's
Get out of
charming as hell.
Linda, who do you think is fit?
Not Jonathan Bailey.
Wow.
Give me
Watch
exactly.
the Bridgerton series.
Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
See,
I watched
see
it.
how
I
they
was
feel.
such a-
Listen, the way he whispers turn, he's sniffing at man.
There's not a corner of this that you could go to.
YouTube is
gonna
gonna
walk
take
past
this down.
Get you a man that sniffs at you like Jonathan Bailey.
I don't want to go Anyways,
Right.
This is what happens when you talk about romance books.
Did we actually make any recommendations for our viewers?
Yeah,
I think
leave a
so.
recommendation.
Okay, great.
Go back and rewatch if you missed anything.
So we've said Dating Dr. Dill, we've said Emily Henry is kind of maybe,
Yeah.
but Abby Jimenez is a good
Moonlight
one.
Manhattan.
Sarah Morgan.
Yeah.
Pride
I
and
actually want to read.
Prejudice.
I'm going to read some more Sarah Morgan as
Yeah,
well.
she's
She's so great as well.
And also, what do we think about Colleen Hoover?
No, we're not talking
not
about
romance.
We're
We're not talking about her.
Well, I want to throw one more in there just because I think it would be good to have some male representation.
Go on.
Oh, go on.
I read a couple of years ago. I read a book called Memorial by Brian Washington, and it's about two guys who live together, and their relationship is kind of, it's a bit strained, like something's happening, but who are not quite sure why they're not communicating with each other, and then they end up having to spend some time apart. One of them goes to Southeast Asia to go and visit his father who's sick, but then his mom ends up coming to stay at their flat with the other partner. So the other partner's spending time with his mom whilst he's spending time with his dad. They're apart, but they're evaluating their relationship at the same time, and then they sort of come back together to try and work through how they feel, because they've been together for like a really long time. And I thought it was just a really nice representation of what it's like for a man to be in a relationship, queer relationship, without being really cringy or like any of that kind of stuff. And it was very real, you know, like we were talking about very messy kind of situations to be in. The end is quite open-ended, and it was very frustrating for me, but I like to think there's hope in all romances, so that's where I left that one. But yeah, that is also a really good recommendation, I think.
I will end it with one smutty read
Go
for
on.
you, Mimi, because you want to. You said you've got to do the smut. Anyways,
I think you have to represent.
I can't remember the author's name, but I think the book was called On Dublin Street.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think. So she's like this American girl, and she comes to Scotland, and she's been studying there, now she's living there, and then she meets this guy who's an estate agent or something. Anyways, it's very like, there was a lot of like smut in there, but it actually had like a backstory. Like her parents died, and I think her friend died as well, but she blamed herself for it. So then because everyone that she's loved has left, she doesn't like getting attached to people, but this guy is basically like in love with her, but she's like, nah, just pure sex. And he's like, he agrees to it, but obviously wants more. But anyways, that's a good one.
So for everyone out there who's asked me for smutty recommendations, it's Tanya that gives them to you.
But also, we've forgotten
Just DM us.
we've forgotten one.
Go on.
Talking of adaptations, talking of people going to Scotland, I suddenly thought of To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Oh,
Jenny
I remember that
Han.
one.
I love it.
Oh.
I've only
only read books.
I've only read the first one.
I'm gonna bring you the other two. They're
So good.
so good.
So there we go.
And I think that was a good adaptation.
Blank.
No, Jenny Han, I think those books of hers are really good.
Yeah.
To be fair, you know the other one, The Some I Turned Pretty?
I haven't read that.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy
I
the
liked the
book,
show.
but the series is
Yeah,
really
the show
good.
was
The
good.
books, I don't think it's worth it, but to all
I
the boys,
think the books are quite childish.
yeah.
Yeah, and they do a good job of an adaptation.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna rewatch To All the Boys again.
Yeah.
We're lover girls, everyone. We're lover girls.
Anyways, we'll end it there. So if you have any romance recommendations or you've read any of the ones that we've just mentioned, leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.